Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince!
Vince, this weekend you and I both went and saw X-Men First Class. Separately, we didn't both go together.
Indeed. With our significant others separately. He went with, Sarah, and I went with Elena, a girl that you've never seen on our show.
No, keep talking. I'm sorry, I'm just more engaged in my story right now.
Pop-tarts! Mini Pop-tarts!
Wait, I didn't remember they had those at the theater, Vince.
Oh, yeah, we should get like a little bag of like mini Pop-tarts. Like Pop-tarts that are like little slivers.
They'd be like $6!
You'd be like, Pop-tarts. $6 Pop-tarts.
They taste better because they're more expensive.
Yeah, but I think that's genius, actually. Get a little box of Pop-tarts with like little, they're like that long, they're like Pop-tart strips. And maybe you can buy a little carton of milk while you're there.
Like a $3 carton of milk.
Yeah, so you'll get your breakfast for like an unreasonable amount of money.
When you go and see a movie. Anyway, X-Men First
early
Class.
morning movies.
So, if you don't know anything about X-Men First Class, basically what happened was some guys got together and said, since the X-Men Origins Magneto movie is not going to happen, wouldn't it be cool if we did a movie about Professor X and Magneto building the school? And they need some X-Men, so we're just going to throw a bunch of names in a hat of X-Men nobody's heard of and pull them out, and that's X-Men First Class in a nutshell.
The Amazing Cheeto.
No.
Maybe we shouldn't use that one.
No, he is the most amazing X-Man ever.
Banshee? Well, that's a horrible Cheeto name.
Anyway.
But, that didn't bother me at all. I personally couldn't think of a single reason that they couldn't do that. I mean, they have their own continuity. I mean, if Bobby Drake, Iceman, can be one of the young X-Men, post, Wolverine and Cyclops all being older people, I mean, why not?
Yeah, the thing that I resisted about it before I went and saw the movie was just, and there's no way around it if you're going to do First Class in kind of the same universe, which we'll talk about the things that are kind of wonky in this continuing to be the same continuity. There's a lot of arguments right now, Vince, going on about how X-Men First Class is its own thing and not part of this continuity, which is amusing since nobody made that argument with Wolverine and it made a lot more mistakes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. The thing that I resisted about it at first was just that. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of X-Men that you can use, a whole bunch of characters, but we've kind of mined the ones that your general populace has heard of. You know what I mean? Like, these are all going to be obscure for people who don't read comic books. I didn't know half these people. I had heard of some of them, but I didn't know Darwin, and I didn't at all, and I didn't know Banshee that well, except that he had a silly costume. I mean, there's characters that were there and Havoc I knew nothing about. I had heard, I knew him and I knew his relationship with Cyclops, but I didn't know anything else beyond that.
Yeah, I don't know much about Havoc. I know that Havoc had a mini with Wolverine that was published underneath Marvel's original adult title, Epic. But,
yeah.
That's the thing. I'm sitting there watching this movie, and my girlfriend keeps going, "Wait, who's Havoc? Wait, who are these people?" And then I'm going, it doesn't matter too greatly much.
Yeah. The point is, you're learning about who they are in this universe, and they do it in such a way where you don't have to know them at all. I think that the big difference between all the obscure characters that wind up in First Class and all the obscure characters in X3 is that the obscure characters in X3 feel obscure by the end of the movie, and the obscure characters in First Class don't. Everybody gets character arcs, for the most part. I feel like Havoc gets shafted a little bit. That was a point that Eric made when I talked to him after the movie. He said, Havoc doesn't get that much of an arc, but everybody else does. Banshee totally does. Banshee gets a great place to go. And again, this is going to be a no-spoiler review, so we're not going to talk too much about specifics, but...
The interesting thing is that all of these characters... This movie moves at a breakneck pace. Like, there is no breathing room in this flick. Nothing. And just almost to a point that I thought that maybe it would be a drawback, like maybe they could have fleshed things out a little bit more, but and given more time to certain things. But really, I suppose maybe that's just the artsy kid in me going, "Wait, we could have time for tea."
I was excited when I first saw it, when I first read what the running time was going to be. I was like, good, it's a little more than 2 hours. I was like, I'm glad that they're giving it some time, which again, X3 did not.
Well, with
Wolverine
First Class, if they didn't give it that much time, there was no way they could have done as much as they were trying to do.
Did you feel like, see, you're talking about breakneck speed, and I can see that argument. Honestly, I was impressed with how much it took its time in certain places. Like with especially with the Magneto and Charles scenes, I thought that it really slowed up a little bit and was giving us some good character dimension. And Vince,
that's the thing.
Those two characters, such dimension.
That's the thing, is that this movie was really, I mean, we knew who it was about. It was not an ensemble piece. It was about these two guys.
That's right. And some people have complained about that. Some people have said, the X-Men in the movie got shafted. And I'm like, not really. I mean, they still got arcs in a way that they did in X3, and yet they weren't the focal point anyway. It's about two guys who build a team, so you have to see the team, but they're somewhat in the background. That's good.
It's just, and when I say it moves too fast, it's really for those characters, for the youth characters in there, as opposed to Xavier and Magneto. I don't know why I couldn't think of Eric Lencher there, Xavier and Lencher, but I really had very few problems with this movie, very few. I would like to address one of them real quick.
Go ahead.
A little bit of bull science, a little bit of bull science.
In what way?
I'm not sure if that would be. Well, no, it's something that they talk about trying to achieve throughout the movie, so I'm going to address it.
Okay, sure.
As a non-spoiler.
Okay.
But talking about doing Beast is looking for a cure for something that's not going to destroy their abilities, but something that's going to make them look human. So my problem with that is this guy's powers are because his feet are messed up. How is he going to look human? He has feet. He has hands for feet. How is he going to make his feet look like feet, and then still be able to do the amazing things that he does?
That's a good point.
I mean, he's going to have a lot of strength, and he's probably going to have some speed.
Yeah, but otherwise he's not really even a mutant at that point.
He's just one heck of an athlete. So I find that a little questionable, a little bit of bull science, and that's my biggest problem with the movie.
Yeah. If that happened, his powers would become as inconsequential as Cable's powers if he were in the 16th century.
Man, there's like nothing here.
Yeah, no one ever shoots an energy blast at me. What am I supposed to do?
I'm so bored.
No, I totally agree with you. Let me ask you this question, Vince. Because there's some argument about how good of a movie this is among fans, and it seems like the people who are not big X-Men fans really like it, and a lot of the big X-Men fans are not real happy with it. Do you think that the reason that you and I liked it as much as we did is because we're not big X-Men guys? Like, do you think that part of the thing is we don't have stock in characters like Havoc and some of these guys, and like with the liberties they took with the villain? I mean, like, they took major liberties with him, and like I couldn't care less because I don't really know that much about the Hellfire Club. Like, it wasn't a big thing for me. So, when they kind of made him sort of a Nazi kind of character, I was cool with that. Like, it worked. It worked for the movie. I don't know. I think for me it was like the piece worked as a whole. It didn't matter to me that it wasn't too in tune with the comics, because let's face it, from the very beginning of this film franchise with Singer, he took a lot of liberties.
Yeah, I mean, we're basing it out of Singer's stuff, so why are we surprised that they're trying to change up? I mean, first of all, where's the problem with that? I mean, you're making a separate thing. This is a separate entity from the comic books. And first of all, they take a lot of liberties with comic books. There's been at least 3 origins to Wolverine. At least 3.
Yeah, they do this inside the medium, so what's the problem? Yeah, I think maybe part of the problem is that fans were just angry that they actually used the name of a comic that had its own arc, and I can kind of see that. I
forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, X-Men First Class is only like 5-6 years old, and then they make a movie called that is not that. Mm-hmm. I can kind of see why that bothered people. I have heard some folks, and I don't know how much I agree with this, but I've heard some folks say, if this movie was just... This was a point that the Gorgeous Geeks made. And again, it's an interesting and valid point. I don't entirely agree with it, but I wanted to address it. The Gorgeous Geeks were like Eric and Professor X were amazing and fantastic, and the X-Men seemed kind of inconsequential. Why couldn't the whole film have just been those two, and not even about building the team? And my answer to that is, they have to have X-Men in the title.
Yeah.
Like, that's how, and I mean, like, that's a technical reason, but Fox has to make an X-Men film every so many years, in order to keep their license for it. So when they make an X-Men movie, it has to have the word X-Men in the title.
I mean, it could have been interesting if it was just them. I mean, because it could have been sort of a character arc for Xavier to be learning to not use his mutant ability in ways that are dishonorable or something.
It could have been less of a comic book movie, which would have been really interesting.
Yeah, it was a very comic book movie, which was kind of strange.
And yet, in a lot of ways, it was also another thing, which is the thing that I like about it over Thor, where I really like Thor, but Thor is a very typical kind of superhero movie in a lot of ways, where it is very much a superhero kind of nearly origin film, whereas First Class is a superhero movie second, and first, I mean, it's a very James Bond type.
Yeah. Something else that just came into my mind. My girlfriend actually pointed this out to me. Xavier has infinite patience with everybody else, but the person that he has dubbed to be his sister, with their mutant abilities. He's like, you're a mutant, be who you are, and that's okay. But in the very private moments with the person that he's dubbed his sister, he says to her, like, you should always stay hidden.
Yeah, good point.
Which to my argument against saying that that's a problem, this is a person that he's been with since he was a child.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a certain dynamic between them.
And I dug that. That was interesting.
You see, I thought it was realistic, but I do think that it is a little old hat, to say that the older brother has the position of authority over the younger sibling.
Yeah, but I also really like the fact that this is a Professor X that just makes a lot of mistakes. I mean, and that works really well. I like the fact that he was a little bit of a party guy, but not too much either. You know what I mean?
I like that he was brainy and a party guy.
Yeah,
and he used that to the best of his abilities.
How'd you feel about Mystique?
Mystique I liked.
I'm somewhat in the minority on this, I guess, but I dug her. I liked everything about her.
You see, I liked Mystique. I thought I'd say the movie has a bit of a 5-minute wrap up.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it does.
And that made me like Mystique a little bit less.
Yeah.
It made me like Xavier just a little bit less. But really, that's part of the reason that I say this movie moves at a breakneck pace, is because they don't allow time for that wrap-up to really 100% come to fruition. It's kind of like, well, here's things that need to happen. Here are things that could potentially happen soon, so we're just going to stick it all in the same scene.
It being the same kind of Mystique that they did in the other movies, was it a little surreal to see a prepubescent Mystique? I mean, and again, not to be gross or sexual or anything, but that was very interesting. I mean, they were making a point with that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That was. I don't want to get into it too much because we get into spoiler territory. But there was definitely a lot of thematic stuff going on about coming of age and puberty and that kind of thing. But in a very interesting and somewhat original kind of way. I don't know. I dug that.
Yeah, I like the movie a whole lot. A whole lot. It was great.
Before we finish, up here. Let's address the continuity issues because a lot of the folks again that are really ragging on it or complaining about the things that it messes with continuity, especially with the first film. Now, I'm going to take up for the film in the places they messed with continuity by saying that I think a lot of the reason that people are so angry about it is because it got so close in so many other ways. Wolverine, I mean, messed with everything. They just totally threw a lot of stuff out of the ballpark. And so when you look at the parts that they mess with continuity here, most of them are going against Wolverine, which is already off the map. So it just ignores that and ignores X3, and fair enough. So I was okay with that.
Here's a question.
The stuff it messed with X1 and X2 were really small things that I'll get into in a second.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, why couldn't Cyclops be in this movie?
Because Cyclops appears as a teenager in Wolverine.
And that's my question. I mean, if Wolverine is such a non-entity, and it should be, then why can't we have Cyclops in this movie?
Yeah, well, they didn't do anything that blatant. You know what I mean? Like in Wolverine, they didn't do. I don't know. They didn't do anything quite that blatant. But here's you're right though, because here's some of the stuff that they just ignore from Wolverine. Stryker is 30 years older than he is in Wolverine. I don't know if you noticed that, but he looks like an old man. And then, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I don't know. Tell me if I'm crazy. But I seem to recall Stryker looking like he was about 55 in this movie. You get to Origins, and he is 30. And then you get to X2, and he's like 60. So, anyway.
And Agamemnon.
Yeah. Striker's one of my favorite characters, and I didn't feel like he just had to be in this movie, but it was okay. It was okay. But again, it was kind of a different thing, too. Or was it a different Stryker? Was it not William Stryker? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was his dad or something.
I don't know. You know, I didn't even...
I'm sorry. I may be missing this.
Which character was Stryker, unfortunately? I don't remember.
Well, Stryker was one of the general guys.
Oh.
You know, Stryker's going to be military.
Yeah. Hang on, I got it.
Sorry, I always look for Stryker in these because he's my favorite character in the X-Men films.
That's cool. I can't actually recall which one he was, but...
But you know who Stryker is in X2, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know who he is in X2.
Cool. So I know, I just wanted to make sure that...
And I know who he is in Wolverine. It's just in my head during... the military was essential to X-Men First Class, but not necessarily individually.
The big,
or individually among the soldiers and generals.
The big thing that First Class goes against Wolverine with is... Well, actually, I better not give it away. But no, I'm sorry. The ending. I will say this. This is cryptic. The ending of First Class goes completely contrary to the ending of Wolverine, as far as Xavier is concerned. I will say that. And we can talk about it after the program if you don't know what I'm talking about. But
well, I know that it goes contrary to something in X3.
Yeah, but it goes way contrary to Wolverine. We'll talk about it a little bit later because I don't want to give it away here. But anyway, I didn't care. Because the big stupid animated bullet thing at the end of Wolverine, that's contrived and obnoxious.
Yeah.
They did a similar thing at the end of this movie, and it came off as dramatic and interesting, and I was okay, at least to a point. I was okay with it. Personally. I don't know, it worked within the piece, and we've already got a franchise that's all messed up, so who cares? That's where I'm coming down on it. Yeah. The big thing that a lot of people were complaining about with what it's contrary to with the first X-Men film is the whole talk that Professor X has about how Magneto helped him build Cerebro, and Magneto doesn't have anything to do with Cerebro in this film. Okay, fine, that's a problem. Is it a big problem? Story-wise, not really. But that's what a lot of people keep complaining about with it. And I'm like, okay, fair enough, it's a complaint. It doesn't botch the whole film for me, though.
Yeah. And also, you know, it's not technically a sequel, I guess. I mean, it is.
Well, I mean, it's a prequel.
It's a prequel, but it's not something that we have to sit there and say, I need to have seen the other movies to enjoy this one.
No, that's true, but then a lot of people are saying, well, if they had to be contrary to continuity, why couldn't they have just rebooted it and given us the 5 characters that we wanted? And fair enough, that's a fair argument. That's not to say that this movie doesn't work on its own, though, for me.
So, I mean, with inclusions of Wolverine and X3, why should you be irritated that they did anything to continuity?
Yeah, but once again, what a lot of fans will answer to that is, well, then why try to make it look like continuity at all? Why not just reboot the thing? Do you see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are like, well, Mystique's real origin in the comics is so much more interesting. Why wouldn't you just swipe the Mystique film version and do something a little closer to classic Mystique and things like that? So those are arguments I understand. But anyway, we're way out of time. But I'm going to close my thoughts by saying Kevin Bacon is amazing.
Kevin Bacon is amazing. Everybody loves Bacon.
But I'm just saying that, like, he was... What a good villain. And I didn't realize he was going to get that kind of screen time, but he was amazing.
Kevin Bacon's a heck of an actor. I mean, come on.
Anyway, what did you think about X-Men First Class? Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. And keep in mind that we're not huge giant X-Men fans, so that's why we didn't talk a lot about the... okay, that's enough. Can I talk? Okay. But anyway, that's why we didn't talk a lot about the actual comic book X-Men stuff. And honestly, that's part of why it worked for us, I think. So yeah, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Also, if there's something you'd like us to talk about in a future video, leave a comment and talk about that as well. And if you're ever in the Kansas City area, be sure to check out Pop Culture Comics in Overland Park, Kansas. That's our official sponsor. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince, reminding you to support your local comic book store.
See you later.